Hello and welcome to another episode of Interview with the Schizophrenic. I'm your host, Duncan Samrasinger, and today I have the great pleasure of having Eric from New Orleans in Louisiana. He's 37 years old, and he's got a schizophrenia diagnosis, I believe. So welcome to the show, Eric. How are you doing?
Thank you. Hi, I'm doing well. How are you doing?
Yeah, I'm doing pretty well. Yeah, not too bad. It's a Friday, that's always a good day. So
Oh
so
yeah, I
yeah.
love Fridays.
Yeah, exactly, man. Exactly. Fridays is yeah. Okay. So what I want to ask you, Eric, is if you like to tell us how your mental health journey began. Um how what were your first symptoms? Did you what was your how were you diagnosed? How did you get into the mental health system? Did you go to hospital? Um, what if you could tell us about that, that would be really great.
Oh sure, yeah. My symptoms started off as when I was a kid, actually. I used to see things more visually hallucinations than auditory when I was a kid. But I I used to see really horrific things like I thought were ghosts maybe, And it started off when I was about maybe 7 or 8 years old, and I didn't know what to think of it, and I didn't really talk about it that much because I didn't know what was going on. And then as I got older, Hurricane Katrina hit New Orleans,
Yeah.
and I was living here at the time. When it hit, I was here, and I was impacted. I ended up evacuating and getting out and everything, but I got stuck in a part that flooded, and it wasn't as bad as it could have been, but that kind of added some post-traumatic stress, and after that event, the hallucinations and the voices and everything were like intensified times 1,000.
Okay. So that's pretty scary, man. So when you were a young kid, you had visual hallucinations.
Oh yeah,
Wow.
creepy things, very creepy things.
So how did you deal with that at the time? What about did you I mean how did you tell your parents about it?
I told them what I saw, and I don't really know if like how like what their take on it was. I think maybe they thought I was like having like a bad dream or something, or maybe it was just because I watched a lot of scary movies. I'm not sure,
Yeah.
but a lot of they didn't really know how to take it. I don't think.
So when you look back now, do you get a bet? I mean, because people do say they seen ghosts. I mean, how do you know it was not a ghost? As we could say, and it was a hallucination. How do you know that?
Well, because as I got into my 20s, I went to a doctor and I told him how I was seeing and hearing things, and I got put on Abilify. And when I'm on my medication, it stops like
Okay.
everything, pretty much. But when I take it, sometimes it still happens. So I kind of wonder about that.
Yeah, I mean, the medication, it only does so much,
Yeah.
isn't it?
And
It
I'm
only
a
does so
paranoid
much.
schizophrenic, so I get these delusions of people trying to kill me all the time, and I get
Okay.
paranoid about a lot of things. Like I'm afraid of the dark. I'm afraid of not really necessarily the dark. I'm afraid of what could be in the dark. When I wake up in the middle of the night, throughout the night, I actually hear a whole bunch of voices, and I can't make out male or female, but it's like a whirlwind of voices, and sometimes it's really loud, and sometimes it's just kind of normal volume, like I'm talking now, but it's intense sometimes, and I just want it to go away because I'm trying to sleep.
Eric, do you get a chance to talk about your voices? I mean, do you have a partner you can talk about, or do you talk to your friends? Do you get a chance to talk about it?
No, not really much.
I thought so because
Yeah,
I also have voices, and I just and it's like a major part of my life,
yeah,
and I can't talk about it. It's just ridiculous.
it is
And
because
when,
Yeah, it's like you don't want to frighten people and you don't want
Yeah,
them to see you in a different light, but at the same time, it's something that, you deal with and you deal with like 24 hours a day, 7 days a week, and
yeah.
it's nonstop.
It's like it's like a part of my identity, and yours is a part of your identity. It's a part of who we are. So I think yeah. I just because it's part of the normal human experience, right? Because schizophrenia is been around for quite a few. I think it was I think they coined a phrase, I don't know, 100 years ago or something. But it's a part of the normal human experience, isn't it? It's out there, it's in the extremes, but
Yeah.
it is. Do you know what I mean?
Oh yeah,
So
definitely.
we should be able to talk about it. I think you know.
Yeah, I
Um,
believe that like the stigma of schizophrenia though is like everybody, especially in movies, the way they portray, every serial killer is a schizophrenic. His dog is talking to him, telling him to murder people and stuff like that. You know what I mean?
yeah,
So
yeah,
automatically, people who are schizophrenic are serial killers. All of us are, and we're evil and we're bad people. And it's like,
yeah,
no,
yeah.
it's not
That
real.
is. It's like in the news, if there's like some crazy guy kills his wife and his kids to go, and yeah, and he had a diagnosis of paranoid schizophrenia, and that's like a major factor in the
Yeah,
news story. It's like, okay, yeah, schizophrenia, so that's why he did it. Well,
yep,
no, that's not. He was morally, he had some serious issues with his moral compass. I
definitely.
think it's because most schizophrenics are just like, I think in America there's like 2 million or something schizophrenics in America or something like that. There's a hell of a lot.
Yeah, there
It's
is.
it's more than a million. I
Yeah,
think your population's like 160 million or something. What's
you
the
know what?
population?
I'm not even sure.
It's something like that, or
Yeah,
180 million maybe, and it's
yeah,
1% of the population.
yep,
So there's pretty much more than a million schizophrenics in America. So most of them are just behaving themselves. They're not getting in trouble. So
yeah. And then you've got the people who are undiagnosed.
oh yeah, definitely, definitely. There's I think there's a hell of a lot of people who've got undiagnosed mental illness,
Oh yeah,
and then some of them with schizophrenia as well.
yeah.
So yeah, okay. So let me what I also want to ask you, have you had any psychotic delusions?
Oh yes, all the time. Actually, almost every day.
Okay, because those can be quite scary. I mean,
But
how do you feel when you're okay? So, what about a psychotic break? How do you feel when you lose touch with reality and you're in the midst of sort of psychosis? How does that feel for you?
it feels like well, I'm a claustrophobic person too, and it feels like I'm in a room and the walls are closing in on me and I'm starting to not be able to breathe and then like I actually start to sweat and I feel like I could pass out and just faint and
Mm,
my heart starts racing because it becomes completely physical at that point.
yeah,
It's
yeah,
very scary. It's horrifying. I've actually gone into my room before and like barricaded myself in my room by putting my dresser in front of my door because my door doesn't lock because I was just so
yeah,
terrified of just my delusions. And I laid in bed and I was just like, praying. I was like, God help me, God help me, God help me, and like just
mm.
asking for any type of help really to relieve what was going on. And then eventually
Have,
it passes, but it's at the time it's so real and it's so vivid. I don't know how to handle it most of the time.
yeah, it can be very scary.
Yeah,
That definitely, my experience is the same as you. Is that it's terrifying. Um, it can be absolutely terrifying, and it's yeah, it's not a nice experience at all.
yeah.
Um, can I just ask you? You mentioned God. Have you had any sort of have you found any spirituality or religion to help you? Um, with your symptoms. I mean, have you turned to that sort of
Uh,
side of life?
Not at all, actually. No. I believe in God, but I was raised a Pentecostal, and I got out of the church, and I still, I guess I believe in God, but I'm not a very spiritual person. But when things get really
Mm.
bad for me, I'm one of those types of people who start asking God for help. Yeah.
Yeah, because that I exactly because when I have been terrified, I will ask. You ask for the highest authority.
Yes.
Like you don't want any middleman
No.
dealing with it. You want God to to sort it out.
Yeah, and I'm
Um,
hoping he's real and that he's hearing me because usually whenever I do that, it kind of simmers down a little bit and it kind of is eased. And I don't know if it's just because I'm in a way sort of praying and talking to God, or if it just kind of happens that way. I can't really tell
mhm,
most of the time.
yeah. Okay, cool. So tell me, do you work, Eric?
I actually don't work. I haven't worked in about 20 years.
Okay, okay. So you're on disability benefits and all
Well,
that
I
sort of
love that
thing.
question that you asked me that. I'm actually going through that right now with Social Security, trying to get my disability. I got a letter in the mail saying that I'm eligible, and I'm just waiting on more paperwork. So it's going to go through for me after 20 something years, finally.
Wow. Because in the UK, I've spoken to a few Americans about it, and it's a slightly different process. I've heard that people get lawyers in America to get them their social security benefits. Um, they will hire a lawyer so they can win their case. And in the Britain in the UK, it's quite a big thing because obviously a lot of people with schizophrenia are on benefits. I mean, I spent a long time on benefits, and it's quite stressful experience because you've got to prove that you're ill and you're not well enough to work, and it's quite and that's kind of what they test you on, and it's
Yes.
quite a can be quite a stressful thing to go through.
Oh, yeah.
Okay, fine. What I will ask, what about so tell me, I want to know more about life as a schizophrenic. It's not easy. And so tell me, how did your when you were first when you said at the age of 20 you got prescribed Abilify, so I guess that was your first med. How did your friends react?
Um,
Um,
I actually didn't tell any of my friends. I didn't tell really anybody except for, my family because I was afraid of how people would react. Um,
yeah.
but, being
But they
on
must have
it,
found out eventually. They must
well,
have found out.
they did, and I ended up losing all of my friends because of it. Yeah, I have no friends now, really.
You know, I think you can. It's worth trying to reconnect because as you get older, people do change. But yeah, I mean, for me, I've got a weird one is where I have a persona which is normal, which I have to be when I'm with friends.
Yeah,
I am a loner. I mean, to be honest, I am quite a loner. But where if I am with friends, I will act. I don't talk about my illness. It's
yeah,
kind of like as if if it doesn't exist, sort of thing.
exactly.
Um,
Yeah,
so yeah, so it's like, but when I'm by myself, I'm looking at mental health forums and stuff, and I'm exploring that side of my life because it's such a major part of my life. But obviously, with regular folk, I don't think they can handle it. They don't seem to want to handle it. So like you kind of agree with me. You just kind of you display a persona which is normal, I guess.
yeah, I do. Like, I kind of show people what they want to see, basically.
Yeah, I know exactly what you mean. Okay, fine. Let me ask you. So, how did your family react? Were your family, a lot more supportive?
Oh, they were very supportive. They're very, very supportive. My mom, she's great. I can talk to her about my episodes and stuff and what I
Yeah,
see and everything now. And my sister's been a big help, and they're really understanding. So that helps out a lot.
yeah. Family is definitely, I mean, a lot of people say their family are very supportive, and I think that's a great thing because we need a support network of some sort. And usually most parents are usually pretty good.
Yeah.
I
And I
think
live
it says,
Yeah, I live at home with my family because back in 2017, I was actually married for 8 years to my
oh
husband.
wow,
Yeah, and my
okay,
husband,
cool,
yeah, he passed away in 2017, and I kind of lost my mind a little bit more.
okay,
So I moved back
okay,
with my family.
okay, fine. I'm sorry to hear that, man.
Thank you.
Was he older than you? Was it a sort of like a heartbreaking illness?
Uh, a drug overdose.
Okay, fine.
Yeah.
Okay, okay. Let me ask you then. What do you believe schizophrenia is?
Um, I wish I knew. I really do because my family it runs in my family on my mom's side, apparently. My grandfather had it, my mom's dad, um, his grandfather had it, and it's like it seems to have passed down, but at the same time, I question. I'm not sure if I believe in ghosts and stuff like that. But it always comes back to that for me because there are certain things that happen, and then I can see and hear that maybe my mom or my sister will see or experience too. You know what I mean?
So it might be the case that something which you're experiencing might be real, is what
Yeah,
you're saying.
yeah. And that kind of creeps me out on an even bigger level.
Well, it would do, yeah. Given what you've told me about what you've been seeing and stuff, I mean, I think it is kind of scary. But
Yeah.
I mean, the way I see it, it's like it's part of the human experience, but it's an extreme part, So
Well, I feel like maybe like we were as schizophrenics chosen to see and hear things that we do see and hear.
yeah, I
But
mean, I was gonna say something like that, but
yeah,
I, because what 1% of the population has to do it, so
yep,
it just so happens that we're doing it this generation.
yeah.
Um,
It's hard to maintain relationships, definitely big time too with this. Like it's so tough.
oh yeah, definitely. I mean, like I say, I spend most of my time um, alone, really, and it's difficult. Like we're talking about, it's difficult to be your genuine self.
Yeah, it
It's
is.
hard. It's really hard.
It
I
is.
think to know who that person really is, and um, you need to have that time where you can just be okay. Yeah, I want to talk about my symptoms. I want to talk about what I'm going through, um, because otherwise, it'd be unbearable. I mean, to be honest with you. Okay, let me ask you, Eric. Have you experienced any stigma or discrimination?
Only by friends I used to have.
Yeah, you felt they let you down.
Yeah, like I think that they became like to the point to where they felt like I was being uh well like we say here in America, I was being too much. um
Yeah.
because they would tell me to talk to them about it and I would talk to them about it and then they would go behind my back and talk to each other about me, calling me a freak and a weirdo and stuff like that, and oh, I have something seriously wrong with me and I have issues and stuff like that, and it got back to me and I was just like, okay, that's not a friend doesn't do that.
Hmm. You know, yeah, I think people think I'm fake. I think that's what the thing is with me. I think they just don't believe me or something.
That's how I
Um,
feel.
yeah, I mean, it's just it's just kind of I don't know, but and even when I remember I once had some problems with the police, and I said, yeah, I've got a schizophrenia diagnosis, and they're like, so, but that's quite, it's quite a big thing in someone's life, isn't it?
Yeah,
It can affect how you how you um what's the word interacting with the world, because
definitely.
it's part of it. Okay, let me see. How do you feel? I kind of know what you're going to say, but how do you feel like the general public understand schizophrenia? I mean, what are your feelings on that?
Um, like how they interpret it.
Yeah, so just like just if say you got on a taxi and the taxi driver said, "So man, how's your day?" Go, "Oh man, just terrible symptoms with skits," and you
Uh,
go, "How do you know what I mean?" I'd say, how would somebody like that perceive just a general person?
oh, I think that they would really be freaked out and probably like kick me out of a taxi.
Yeah. But it's not, it's not right. I think we like me and you and everybody else with schizophrenia, we've got a genuine condition, and I think it's important for people to understand that it's not easy.
No, it's
Um,
not. It's definitely
it's
not
not
easy.
easy. Yeah, it's not easy. It's one of the hardest things you can go through. And what makes it hard is that it's really difficult to get that support.
Hmm.
You know,
Yeah.
I think that's what.
My husband, when he was alive, I used to talk to him about my hallucinations and stuff like that, and he never wanted to hear it because it really did freak him out. And I understand that because it's really, really kind of scary stuff sometimes,
It's scary. It's scary, yeah.
and I
It's
don't
like with my.
I don't.
Yeah, sorry,
Oh, I'm sorry. Go ahead.
what I was going to say is that my brother, I don't talk to him about schizophrenia,
Mm,
and I'm in my 40s, and so pretty much my whole life I don't talk to him about my illness. It's just not in the conversation.
yeah.
You know, so yeah, I could kind of understand that.
Yep.
Uh,
And one thing that I've seen a lot recently, it's I've been seeing this since 2007. It's always it looks like a woman, and she stands in the corner of any room that I'm in, facing the wall, and she's covered in like this gray hood with like this weird old dress, and she's covered in vines and leaves, and she just stands there like a piece of furniture, never talks, never turns around. But I've been seeing her since 2007. She's just like there all the time.
bloody- that's pretty terrifying, man.
Yeah,
You
I think it's a witch, personally. I
know.
really do.
uh, uh, yeah, because I mean, to be honest with you, I think it's quite rare for people to have visual hallucinations.
Hmm.
You know,
Yep.
like it's like you say, maybe it's more common when you're much younger, but into adulthood, I think it's probably quite rare.
Yeah. Most
I would
most
say,
I've heard with people who are an adult, like usually audio hallucinations more than anything.
yeah, that's right, that's right, that's right. Okay, so do you take nicotine? It's kind of like a schizophrenia and nicotine is kind of go hand in hand.
Oh yeah, I smoke way too much.
Yeah, cool. Um, okay, fine. I think we can wrap it up here. What I want to ask you, Eric. Okay, actually, one last question.
Okay.
Um, is is there anything you would like to say which I haven't asked you, just on this platform? Anything you would like to say?
Yeah, I would just like to say that people who live with schizophrenia, I think, are the most condemned people in the world sometimes. We have a huge stigma over us because of our diagnosis, and it's not fair for us to live with that and not be able to talk about it to people and, generally because the way we feel about it and everything, it feels like it closes us off, it isolates us, and it makes it worse, in my opinion. So I just think that the stigma of it really needs to just kind of we need to try to fight that stigma and show people that we're not all these serial killer monster movie monsters and stuff like that. We're normal people too. We just happen to have this.
Yeah, I completely agree with you, and I think it's hard enough to cope with the distinct symptoms themselves without having to cope with the ostracization and discrimination from society, which can be changed through awareness and education, and shouldn't be there in a modern society. Okay, we've got to deal with the hallucinations and the delusions and all that, but just there's nothing wrong with like being kind to a schizophrenic person. I think it's this should be happening these days.
No, my message is if you see a schizophrenic person, give them a hug. Eat it.
Exactly,
Eat it.
exactly, exactly. Okay, Eric, is there any particular genre of music that you prefer? Because what I'll do, I'll tag that on to the end of the show.
Oh yeah, I love I love kind of like that screaming metal music. There's this artist named Poppy that I like. I don't know if
Okay,
you've heard of her.
cool. No, I haven't. I will try and find something of that ilk and
Okay.
put that on the end. And so, absolutely been a pleasure to speak with you, Eric. You know, I completely agree with your message out there about schizophrenia and the stigma. I think it's so important, and we've got to keep fighting and to get a message across. And just, yeah, it's just so important.
Yeah, very
So,
much.
thank you very much for speaking with me today, Eric.
Thank you for interviewing me.
My pleasure.
Hyperdrive. Standing by your side with my heart on hyperdrive. I'll do what it takes to make you believe. With my heart on hyperdrive. We do what we want, but we're not free. With our hearts on hyperdrive.